This is a brief presentation and an opportunity for questions for the Southside Flats Sewer Separation Project. Some limited work has gotten started on South 19th Street, so we just wanted to give you an update on that, give a refresher on the project goals, and leave any time for questions and clarifications on the project. So let's get started. I'll leave the agenda here. I kind of already went over this, but I'll start by saying my name is Maura McLaughlin. I'm part of the internal team at Pittsburgh Water and Sewer. I'm a construction communications project manager. So I assist our project teams with outreach and education around our capital improvement projects. So I'll just go around the horn. I can't see everybody, but if you're part of the project team, if you could just introduce yourself, and I'll start with Toby.
Yeah, my name is Toby Stutzman. I'm the group manager of wastewater over at PWSA. I can pass it over to Marco next.
Hello, everybody. My name is Marco Schuley. I'll be the construction project manager for this project. Jason, want to go, Scavarla?
Yep. I'm Jason Scavarla. I'm with WRA. I'm the CM, part of the CM team with this project. Jeff, go ahead.
Jeff Gagas with WRA, a part of the CM team. John?
Hi, I'm John Patella. I'll be the field inspector there. Nice to meet you.
And Nick Modani with JMT. I'm the design engineer and will be providing assistance during construction phase.
Any other PWSA or project team members on the call?
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Hey, everybody. My name is Nate Carr. I am an assistant project manager with PWSA. I will be assisting our project manager, Marco, here on this project.
Great, thank you, everyone. So with that, like I said, we're going to give a general overview of the project. It's been a little while since we've done a community meeting on this project, so just reminding everyone the scope of work, discuss a little bit the necessary construction agreements we need for some of the sewer improvements, talk a little bit about what we need back from customers in the project area, touch a little bit on lead service line replacement. This is actually a very holistic project. We're investing in a lot of different pieces of infrastructure while we're out there and have the streets open. So talk a little bit about lead line, a little bit about some limited water main replacements that we're going to be doing in the area. And what I think is most important for people on the call today, to review the construction schedule, talk about what we've done so far and what we have to look forward to. So to start, I just want to kind of go over the issues that PWSA identified and the reasons for starting this project. So this portion of the Southside Flats neighborhood has many downspouts, meaning the external piping on buildings that carries water from rooftops and other places on the building out and away from the property, right? So those downspouts discharge over land, meaning they're not plumbed into a sewer. They just kind of spit out onto the surface. And this can lead to, obviously, potential issues like flooding, icy conditions in the winter. That consistent water running over streets and sidewalks can also cause potholes. So with that being said, PWSA worked to develop a sewer separation project that will construct a sewer for only stormwater flows. So currently in this area, there's one sewer addressing sewage flows coming from people's homes as well as stormwater. So we're going to separate that and have designated sewers for each. So we're going to connect those downspouts then where we can to that new stormwater public sewer. This will ensure more capacity in the existing sewers that are under the streets, especially during rain events. It'll improve the surface water quality that, runs over the land and eventually makes its way out into rivers and streams. We want to make sure, where we can, we make sure the water is as high quality as it can be entering those waterways. This work will also help us avoid basement backups and other issues related to combined sewers that we see often. So this is a map of the project area. It's kind of laid out, color-coded here. You can see the pink is sewer pipes. There's a couple areas where there's blue pipe, that is the water main. We're going to construct, like I said, new separate storm sewer pipes, as well as the manholes and the catch inlets for water that are associated with those pipes. We're going to connect properties where we can with downspouts to the new storm sewer. We're going to plumb them into the sewer, right? And we're going to replace some water mains on Wharton Street and Fox Way. When we were designing the project, we determined that while we were going to be exposing the roadway, after the fact, we're going to be paving. Before we do any of that, we want to make sure that as much infrastructure that needs upgraded is upgraded during this project. So we're going to address those sections of water main on Wharton and Fox Way. As part of any water main replacement project that we do anywhere around the city, we are always looking for lead service lines attached to those pipes. So as part of that work, we're going to identify and replace any lead we find at no cost. So for anybody that lives on Wharton and Fox, you should have received some lead service line agreement packets in the mail. I think we have almost all of those returned with the exception of a couple. And we're also going to repave and restore sidewalks. So we want to talk a little bit about a touch point that we have with the customers in this project area where we do need something back from the customers to proceed with work. We're calling this the authorization for sewer lateral connection. For the full storm sewer lateral, those who sign the agreement are people that have a downspout at the building face. We're going to do repair and maintenance is the property owner's responsibility. The PWSA owns and maintains the storm sewer and the point where the private sewer lateral, which takes sewage flows away from the home, and the public water main connects. Now, a partial storm sewer lateral, this is for people who do not sign the agreement or do not have one of those downspouts that just discharges on the surface. That's from the PWSA storm sewer to the sidewalk. We're going to they're going to repair, maintain the future connection for the property owner, but that's their responsibility. And we are going to own and maintain the storm sewer and the point where the lateral and the main connect. So you can see a graphic there of what a sewer lateral is and what a PWSA owned public sewer looks like generally under the street. Obviously, this layout is a little bit different than Southside Flats. Oftentimes, the properties in this neighborhood are very close to the street and sidewalk. But this is a typical graphic. So in order to do this work, because we are slightly going onto private property, we did send people who are eligible an agreement. It's pretty straightforward. We just need basic property information, a signature of the homeowner. And like we said, if you decline this work, you choose not to do it, we will not provide that additional service to you. But at this point, I want to see if there's any additional information that our project team wants to share about these agreements, how we can collect them and get them back from residents. Is there anything, Marco, you would want to share quickly?
Hello, everybody. Yes, the CM team does have a list of residents that have signed agreements, as well as a list of residents that don't have signed agreements. We are going to make a one effort here to kind of blitz all of the residents at one time, just to let them know as a common courtesy, we'll be in the area. That you do have an agreement, we'll tie you in. If we don't have an agreement, we're still going to make that phone communication and also document that communication to kind of give the one last effort for all the folks out there to at least tie in at this time. So keeping that in mind, we know talking to Allegheny County Health Department in the future, if you were to sell your house and there is a separate storm system, they are going to require you to tap in. So we're trying to be a good role model here and I guess a good player to the residents in this location to get everybody to sign the agreements and also get everybody to tie into our separate storm sewer. So stay tuned. If you do hear from our construction team, they'll be out there. We also have John Pacella on the line as well. He's our inspector in the field. He will also be trying to make some communication to the residents as well in regards to having these agreements completed.
Thank you. Thanks, Marco. Yeah, just a little bit of context there. If you start to hear from our project team, that is why. Just want to make sure anybody who has the opportunity to do this additional work does it now. And just for, again, I get a little bit of context, this is a perfect example. I believe this is in Southside Flat somewhere. This is not some other neighborhood. It's actually in the neighborhood. It's a perfect example of two different houses where there's two different examples of what we're talking about here with downspouts. You can see the person on the left-hand part of the photo has what we call a splashing downspout. It's not plumbed under the ground and into a sewer. So this is exactly the type of property that would be eligible for this work. But you see on the other side, this is someone who is plumbed into the sewer system. So we're not going to chase after a property like this. This is not eligible for this plumbing into the sewer system that we're trying to accomplish when we put this new storm sewer in. All right, and this is just a little bit more information, kind of an underground graphic here. We're going to plan to install a storm sewer and storm sewer laterals from the new sewer main to the public right-of-way and connect any of those downspouts that are discharging on the street and sidewalk, which you saw on the slide before. The top one, you're kind of looking down at the street and you're kind of seeing what's underground, and the bottom image is kind of a profile of that new storm lateral coming out of a property down below the sidewalk, down into the street, and eventually connecting to that public sewer main. This is all no cost to our customers. It's part of the design of the project. So I really would encourage anybody who hasn't signed and returned that agreement who is eligible to do it. While the work is happening and the street will be open, it's the best time to do it. And this is the partial sewer lateral installation. So you can see here, slightly different. That new storm sewer lateral is going to be built up to this, basically the curb line. We are not going to connect that existing downspout that's already plumbed into the combined sewer. But that new storm lateral will be built halfway to the property and will be there and available if in the future the homeowner decides to make that adjustment. And again, this is at no cost as well. This is a little bit additional work that PWSA might not typically do. But yeah, we wanted to bring that new storm sewer lateral up to the edge of the public property and have it there as an option for the future. Touch a little bit on lead service line replacement. It's going to be related to the water main work. This is only happening, like you saw on that project map, in only certain parts of the area where we determined the water main was due for a replacement. Some of this work that you actually saw last year, some of the lead service line replacement work that happened last year was actually part of an American Rescue Plan Act funded project. So we did just get some lead service lines out of the project area, knowing that we were going to be coming through here soon. We wanted to get that work done and out of the way before the more major sewer and water main improvements happen. But as it relates to the Wharton Street and the Foxway work, you've been sent a lead service line agreement, which needs to be signed and returned, similar to that downspout agreement, to allow us to have access to your home to replace any lead on the private side of the service line if it is found. The first step will be to dig a small test pit and verify the material of these service lines. Non-lead service lines will remain in place, although the public side will be replaced just as part of the water main work. But if any lead is found on the private side, we then utilize that agreement. We start to work with you and replace that private side lead at no cost. So again, this is a slightly different graphic than the one you saw a few slides ago. This is a typical water main setup. So you see the public water main running down the street. You see the service line teeing off of that water main, providing service to the home. The portion between the water main and the curb box, some people call it a shutoff valve. It's actually a little valve in the sidewalk that we can turn water on and off at a property. It's kind of the line of demarcation between public and private. And from that shutoff valve into the home is the private service line, which is typically owned and maintained by the homeowner. But as part of this work, if it's lead, we're going to replace it at no cost to you. So again, there's only a couple agreements still outstanding in the neighborhood, and we're going to chase after those few remaining ones, but just want to make you aware of how this works. We're going to inspect the service line material. As I mentioned, this is a trench where there's a service line connected. We're going to verify the material. It's good to know where the lead lines are so we can replace it. And it's also good to know where the non-lead lines are so we know we never have to come back. We know what the material is, and it helps our overall inventory of pipes. We're going to install the new service lines after the water main is put in the street. And we'll coordinate, like I said, with any residents that have lead on the day of. We ask that you be present for that. But again, this is no cost. We just ask for those couple touch points where you're around to witness the work happening. And towards the end of the project, along with a lot of other street and sidewalk work around the area, there's going to be restoration. And again, the water main replacement, it's tied to this lead service line work as well. It's a typical trench. I'm not sure what neighborhood this is in. This might be somewhere in the East End. Like I said, this is going to happen on Wharton Street and Fox Way. We want to upgrade as much infrastructure as we can at one time. Like I said, we're going to replace all the public service lines because they're attached to that old main and any private lead. But again, if you happen to be on the call and you're one of the people that has not turned that agreement in, or you need another copy, please let us know. And again, this is just kind of a rundown of the work that will happen. The water main will be installed, service lines will be installed after that. And you might not see restoration work immediately. You might not see the new sidewalk come in right after we're done. Might be a little while, but that's because we do things in an efficient manner. So we get all of the infrastructure installed, and then a new set of crews may come in to do things like concrete work, asphalt, landscaping if needed. So things are done in phases. So expect there to be a slight delay between the infrastructure work that happens right in front of your property and the final paving and sidewalk work. That's the last step of the project. So just a little bit about general construction impacts. Like I said, if you've been on or around South 19th, you're seeing some manhole and other sewer work happening. But as with a lot of construction projects, you can expect to see no parking signs added and taken away in the project area as needed. In the city of Pittsburgh, there is a requirement to put no parking signs out. This comes from the city, not a PWSA rule, but we are to put no parking signs out no later than 48 hours before the work occurs. So we give people 2 full days to be aware that they need to move their cars. So just keep an eye out for those. This is a longer project, and we'll talk about the construction schedule here shortly with several different components. So we're going to work as well as we can to keep the impacts and the detours and no parking signs as minimal as possible. We understand that this is a very tight neighborhood. And parking is limited, so we will do our best to keep that kind of disruption limited to where we are working. We are also working with a contractor on restoration milestones. So we're not going to let these sites drag for a very long time. We're going to have a kind of systemic way of making sure things are restored in a timely manner at certain checkpoints in the project. And this is probably for some of the residents on the call, the slide you've been waiting for. This is a breakdown of our anticipated schedule, weather dependent and subject to change as all construction is. But as you know, we did start work in June and July of 2024. We started repairs to the existing sewer that's in the ground, that combined sewer. And we're beginning the installation of the new storm system, including laterals and those catch inlets for surface water. By about October, you should start seeing the new construction of the storm sewer system along Wharton from 18th to 19th. So that'll be ongoing. By about February of next year, we're going to start construction on the water main replacements on Wharton and Fox, as well as any lead lines we find. A lot of this work, I assume, Marco, will kind of be happening in tandem at this point throughout the project. But by August, we should be complete with the storm sewer and water main construction, so the pipe will be in the ground. And beyond that, we're going to start working at final restoration sites, cleaning the project up, making sure all the little, what we call punch list items are addressed. And we anticipate complete restoration by October 2025. So with that being said, I'll leave this slide up for a minute or so. Thanks for listening. We just have a few contacts here for the sewer replacement work and general project information. Marco on the call, the project manager, is a good contact. If you have any questions about lead service line replacement, we have a dedicated team called the Lead Help Desk that will address that. That's their email there. For these downspout disconnections and the downspout questions, as it relates to individual properties, Nate on the call, our assistant project manager, can address those. And I'm going to keep our project page updated with construction milestones and other information that can be found at pgh20.com/SS flats sewer. So with that said, that comes to the end of our presentation. I wanted to leave time now just to kind of have a roundtable discussion, answer any questions. Submit that person. I think everybody can see me now. Mike, I see your hand raised.
Oh, did you say Mike?
Yes. Hi.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, my question was that area that you're doing all this replacement work, we live like a half a block away on 19 and a half, between 19 and 20. What dictated that you would only go, where you went? Is this going to project, or is this going to progress slowly, like up Sydney Street or the other way? Or, what about the rest of the south side, I guess?
Toby, since you were involved, yeah, could you address that one?
Yeah, I can hit this. So you're east of the project area, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so the whole area was selected, and the reason we targeted this area is because we kind of have a unique opportunity here. We had a large storm sewer already in place from 18th down to the river. So actually having a connection into the river that has some capacity for stormwater, somewhat rare. So that's why this area was selected. We started in this area particularly because these point of connections to the interceptor, the Alcosan interceptor, it's sufficient in these areas. That being said, we did size the main storm sewer trunk line that's going to go in on Wharton Street, that if future funding and opportunities arise, it can continue, I guess, east on Wharton to continue to collect more stormwater and continue separation. But this time we don't have any plan, just kind of working your way upstream. As you can imagine, that area from 18th and Wharton down to the river was already separated with the projects that took place there. So now we're kind of working our way up, if that makes sense.
Okay. One other question. There's a project going on 21st Street coming down, the water project from the top of the hill always down to Josephine Street, I think. Is that any of that have anything to do with you guys, or would those two come together somehow?
We've coordinated them as best as we can. Again, we tried to maintain the elevation on Wharton Street such that connection could be made. I think there's some nuances with that, given that that project isn't a complete separation. It's some installation of green infrastructure to try and offload stormwater, but it still reconnects to the combined system. I think that the direct connection of that separate storm system in that area to our separate storm sewer would likely have some permanent hiccups. They're more than likely going to act independently. But that being said, with it still being kind of in fluctuation, that project, and us being ahead of it, we designed our Wharton trunk to accommodate if possible in the future.
Okay, because we've talked to people that are doing that 21st Street project, and my question always was, when it ends at Josephine Street, what happens to all the water? And initially they were supposed to run all the way down to the river along 21st Street, but I don't think that part of the project ever got underway or will ever get underway.
Yeah, again, we're working in parts, and we're kind of working our way up to it and trying to remain flexible with what may come in that area. again, sometimes permitting can be a little bit complicated with this. The idea with the difficult permitting is anywhere you have the potential for combined sewers and this separate sanitary sewer to be connected is where you obviously want to try to avoid. And that's where it gets a little difficult in that regard. But again, we're trying our best to leave our options open.
Is that PWSA doing that part, the 21st Street project?
We're a partner in it, and we are working with it as well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just a little helpful context for people on the call, and sometimes I forget to mention this, but a lot of sewer systems in the country, and particularly PWSA sewer systems, are largely fed on gravity. So when we design work like this, it's a major consideration. He talked about kind of elevation and things like that. These are all considerations we have to make because we rely on gravity for our sewers to flow downstream, as it were. So yeah, I just want to make that point. Any other questions? Hi, Claire, I saw you come off.
I have a question. So sorry, I guess I missed the beginning. I like saw the letter. So the 6 weeks delay, did that already happen, or that is what's going on now?
Yeah, so we released some work to the contractor, that work that you've seen on South 19th. And while that work was getting done, we were kind of working behind the scenes to determine our next steps. So I will just, and I can share this with you maybe after the call, the presentation that we made, but I did include a project schedule that kind of breaks down the major milestones of the work to come.
And then my next, question, but comment. I mean, this crew is great. They're really kind. However, this is the second summer my entire street is shut down, and I'm hauling 70 pounds worth of children around. I go shop at Costco. They're here from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and stuff. It's just I know work has to be done, and I know it made sense because it was 18th and Warren, blah, 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 blah. But we have to get some sort of utility, synchronization together, because the same crew just dug up the street last year for the lead lines. And I know it's one's 5 feet deep, one's 23 feet deep, one's 18 feet deep or whatever and stuff. But my also thing is we're hiring crews that do not live in the city. Every person on my block who's working here is from 40 miles north. What do they make each? 100 grand. I never see them eating Benny's Pizza. I never see them eating a Permane sandwich. So none of this money that we're investing into this project is we're getting a return on in our community. I'm sure in some the way the stormwater is, that's a return, I guess. But I feel if we're making these strong investments, we need these people who are in charge of these massive contracts that use a lot of our water dollars, a lot of our tax dollars, should have some sort of relation to our city, interact with our city, spend time in our city, live in our city, more than just come down here for work and then go back home and spend that money in their hometown. I think as much money as you guys are spending in contract, we should be able to see those dollars reflected right back into our community and send it.
Yeah, I can definitely, I don't have a great answer to your questions. These are big questions, and I understand the concerns. I'll just say, so a little bit of context for the lead service line that happened last year. I had mentioned on the presentation that was money that came through as part of the American Rescue Plan Act, which was kind of unexpected, a large amount of unexpected money. So when we got that money, we moved very quickly to see where we could invest it, knowing that we were going to be out here and wanting to get that work done ahead of time. We set up the project for Southside Flats. So without that kind of COVID relief money coming through, I don't know if it would have happened that way, but it's kind of how it played out to be. So I'll just share that. But as it relates to workforce and the considerations you brought up, that is something that PWSA thinks about. And I think while we've spent the last several years kind of stabilizing the organization, making it more competent and more efficient, I think the next phase is to make some of these workforce development considerations and see how we can partner throughout the region to invest in Pittsburgh residents and further improve our contracting behaviors. So it is something that PWSA thinks about and considers. So I appreciate you bringing it up. I know it's not the most satisfying answer, but it's what I can provide right now. Any other questions? All right, well, as Marco mentioned, we're going to be kind of chasing after those last downspout agreements. Claire, if you want to just, or what I can do is I'll put my email in the chat if you're interested. I've also recorded the meeting, so that'll be posted on our project page that I put in the chat. But if you're interested, I'll just put my email in here and I can share the presentation with you. But either way, on our project page, you'll see the recording of the meeting. So you can watch it back if you're interested in kind of buffering through that. But if there are no other questions, keep an eye out for Marco and the team collecting the last of those downspout agreements that we need. We'll be reaching out to people who've been unresponsive. Thanks, Claire. Unresponsive and try to collect on those. And we'll continue to update the project page with information on our progress and what's to come. And we appreciate everybody joining us this evening. We wrapped this up pretty quickly, but if there's no other questions, I'll give people about a half an hour back. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Maura. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks. See ya.